How does a love story turn into a massacre? How does a mother's safe haven become a house of horror? Luisa Urbano wanted a fresh start, a better life, a safe home for her children. But what she got instead was a nightmare she never woke up from. In the early hours of January 30th, 2025, inside a quiet Jersey City apartment, a brutal crime unfolded. A mother and her two innocent children, gone in a matter of minutes. But why? What led to this horrific act? And could it have been stopped? Luisa, 31 years old, was a devoted mother. Juan Martin, just 9, had dreams of becoming an astronaut. Little Diana, only 5, loved to draw and fill the world with color. So how did their story end in blood and silence? The answer lies with one man, Napoleon Romero-André, the ex-boyfriend, the alleged killer, a man with a violent past and a history of anger, a man who was supposed to love, but instead took everything away. What happened behind closed doors in that apartment on Hutton Street? Was this a moment of rage, or had it been building for weeks, months, years? Neighbors heard the fights. Friends saw the warning signs. Luisa confided in her sister, but no one knew how close the danger really was. Surveillance footage shows Luisa and her children just hours before the crime, shopping for groceries, smiling, making dinner plans. Their last normal evening before everything shattered. And then, just after midnight, screams, a knife, blood, a desperate call for help. By the time police arrived, it was too late. Luisa was already gone. Juan and Diana were rushed to the hospital, but their little hearts stopped beating before the morning sun rose. Napoleon was found at the scene, his own blood mixing with theirs. Self-inflicted wounds. A failed escape from the truth. But what made him do it? Did he plan this? Or did something finally snap? The evidence tells a brutal story. Blood on the walls. A confession. A violent history that was ignored for too long. And now, 3 lives lost forever. The trial was inevitable. The jury had to decide, was Napoleon a man pushed to the edge, or was he always a ticking time bomb? His defense claimed mental instability. The prosecution argued premeditation. But in the end, the evidence spoke louder than words. Guilty. Life in prison. No parole. Justice served, but justice too late. So now we ask, who is to blame? Could this have been stopped? Did Luisa ever truly feel safe? Did her children sense the danger lurking in their own home? And the biggest question of all, how many more stories like this will there be before we learn to see the warning signs? Stay with us as we uncover every detail of this devastating case. Because the truth isn't just in what happened that night. It's in everything that led up to it. And maybe, just maybe, understanding this tragedy could save someone else's life. Why not take a moment for yourself? Get comfortable, whether for the hot cup of coffee, a glass of wine, or your earbuds and while you work. Because what you're about to hear isn't just another true crime story. It's a haunting reminder of how love can turn into something far more sinister. A story that will leave you questioning how well we ever really know the people closest to us. Before we begin, drop a comment below. Where are you watching from? What are your thoughts as the story unfolds? Because your voice matters. These are real lives, real tragedies, and real lessons that we can't afford to ignore. Welcome to True Crime Tales, where we uncover the stories that lurk in the shadows, the crimes that shake communities, the betrayals no one saw coming, and the horrifying truths hidden behind closed doors. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss the twists, the revelations, and the chilling reality of the cases we bring to you every day. Now, let's begin. In the early hours of January 30th, 2025, a horrific crime unfolded in Jersey City, New Jersey, leaving the community in shock and mourning. A mother and her 2 young children were brutally murdered in what authorities have described as a domestic violence incident. The tragedy has not only devastated the immediate family, but has also raised pressing questions about the circumstances leading up to the event and the broader issue of domestic violence in our society. The victims were identified as 31-year-old Luisa Urbano and her two children, 9-year-old Juan Martin Urbano and 5-year-old Diana Ramirez. Neighbors described the family as immigrants from Colombia who had been living in the United States for approximately 2 years. Luisa was known in the community as a devoted mother, often seen accompanying her children to school and local events. Juan Martin was a bright and energetic boy who loved soccer, while little Diana was known for her cheerful demeanor and love for drawing. The alleged perpetrator, 31-year-old Napoleon Romero Andre, has been charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, as well as weapons-related offenses. Romero Andre was found at the scene with self-inflicted injuries and was subsequently hospitalized. He is reported to be the ex-boyfriend of Luisa Urbano, and their relationship had been marked by tension and previous incidents requiring police intervention. According to Building Superintendent Luis Turcos, who is also Romero Andre's brother-in-law, there had been a history of disputes between the couple, with Romero Andre exhibiting aggressive behavior in the past. The incident occurred at approximately 12:15 a.m. in the family's apartment on Hutton Street. Neighbors were awakened by the sounds of a violent altercation. Building Superintendent Luis Turcos recounted hearing screams and, upon investigating, discovered the gruesome scene. He attempted to intervene but was forced to retreat when confronted by Romero Andre wielding a knife. Turcos immediately contacted the authorities, who arrived to find Luisa deceased at the scene and her 2 children critically injured. The children were transported to Jersey City Medical Center, where they were later pronounced dead. Luisa Urbano was a dedicated mother known for her unwavering commitment to her children. Neighbors frequently saw her accompanying Juan and Diana to school, parks, and community events. James, a neighbor, remarked, "She was a mother, always with her kids. Can't say a bad word about her." Luisa worked as a nurse at a local clinic, where colleagues admired her compassion and dedication. Her friend and co-worker, Maria Sanchez, shared, "Luisa had a heart of gold. She treated every patient with kindness and always spoke about providing a better future for her children." Juan Martin was a bright 4th grader at PS 23. His teacher, Mrs. Thompson, recalled, "Juan had an insatiable curiosity. He loved science and dreamed of becoming an astronaut." Diana, a kindergartner, was known for her infectious laughter and love for drawing. Her classmate's mother, Mrs. Lee, said, "Diana's drawings always brightened up the classroom. She had a talent beyond her years." Luisa's sister, Carla, described her as a pillar of strength for the family. "After our parents passed, Luisa took on the role of caregiver. She was my rock and the glue that held us together," Carla shared, tears streaming down her face. Neighbors recounted the close bond between Luisa and her children. John Paredes, who lived next door, mentioned they all lived together and it just sounded like something that happened all of a sudden. At the clinic, Luisa was known for her professionalism and warmth. Dr. Patel, the clinic's director, stated, "Patients would specifically request Luisa because she had a way of making them feel at ease. She was an invaluable part of our team." Security footage from a nearby grocery store captured Luisa and her children the evening before the tragedy. They were seen shopping for groceries, with one playfully pushing the cart and Diana clutching a stuffed animal. The cashier, Ms. Rodriguez, recalled, "They seemed so happy." Luisa mentioned making Juan's favorite pasta for dinner. Luisa's final social media post, dated January 29th, featured a photo of Juan and Diana building a snowman, captioned, "Making memories with my loves." Friends commented on the post, noting the children's joyful expressions and the loving environment Luisa provided. While many viewed Luisa's life as idyllic, some close to her were aware of underlying tensions. Carla revealed that Luisa had confided in her about challenges in her relationship with Napoleon Romero Andre. She mentioned that things had become strained and that Napoleon had a temper. Carla disclosed. Neighbors occasionally overheard arguments from the apartment. James recounted, "There were nights when I heard raised voices, but Luisa always seemed so composed the next day." Despite these signs, Luisa maintained a facade of normalcy, focusing on her children and work. Maria Sanchez noted, Luisa never let on that anything was wrong. She was always smiling and never spoke ill of anyone. In retrospect, these glimpses into Luisa's personal struggles highlight the complexities many face behind closed doors. Her story underscores the importance of recognizing and addressing the signs of domestic distress before they escalate into tragedy. According to building superintendent Luis Turcos, who is also Romero Andre's brother-in-law, the relationship between Luisa and Napoleon was tumultuous. Turcos recounted previous instances where law enforcement had been involved due to domestic disputes between the two. He stated, "It's a long story back and forth, back and forth. She had to call the police on him in the past. The police came, he went to jail, stuff like that. He was always getting angry." Neighbors also provided insights into the family's circumstances. Emil Fuentes, a resident of the building, recalled a recent conversation with Luisa, during which Luisa expressed dissatisfaction with her life in the United States and a desire to return to Colombia. Fuentes mentioned, "Last week, I was in the basement talking to her. She said she had come here 2 years ago from Colombia illegally, and now she wanted to go back." The tragic event has left the Jersey City community in deep sorrow. Mayor Stephen Fulop addressed the incident, describing it as a terrible triple homicide and emphasizing the domestic violence aspect of the crime. He stated, "We have chaplains and social workers in the neighborhood to work with family and neighbors. We are working closely with the Hudson County Prosecutor's Office. As investigators delved deeper into the case, a significant piece of evidence emerged that shed light on the events leading up to the murders. Surveillance footage from a camera located near the apartment building captured a heated exchange between Luisa and Napoleon just hours before the crime occurred. The footage revealed Napoleon arriving at the building late in the evening and engaging in what appeared to be a contentious argument with Luisa at the entrance. This discovery provided crucial context for investigators, illustrating the escalating tensions between the two and offering a clearer timeline of events. Additionally, forensic analysis of the crime scene uncovered fingerprints and DNA evidence linking Napoleon directly to the weapon used in the stabbings. An unexpected witness, a neighbor who wished to remain anonymous, came forward stating they overheard loud voices and a commotion coming from the apartment shortly before the police were called. These pieces of evidence collectively strengthened the case against Napoleon, providing a comprehensive picture of the crime and the moments leading up to it. The crime scene, located in an apartment on Hutton Street, was discovered by authorities responding to a 911 call. Upon arrival, they found Luisa Urbano deceased at the scene. Her son, Juan Martin, was pronounced dead at a hospital approximately 40 minutes after the call, and young Diana succumbed to her injuries about an hour later. As the investigation unfolded, detectives faced the daunting task of piecing together the events leading up to this tragedy. Central to their efforts was the interrogation of Romero Andre, who, despite his self-inflicted injuries, was deemed fit for questioning. Interrogations in cases of domestic homicide require a delicate balance of firmness and empathy. Detectives must navigate the psychological landscape of the suspect, employing techniques designed to elicit truthful responses without resorting to coercion. In this case, detectives initiated the interrogation with a non-accusatory approach, aiming to build rapport with Romero Andre. This method, often referred to as investigative interviewing, focuses on creating an environment where the suspect feels comfortable enough to share information. By engaging in open-ended questioning, investigators encourage suspects to provide detailed narratives, which can then be analyzed for inconsistencies or admissions. As the interrogation progressed, detectives subtly introduced evidence linking Romero Andre to the crime scene. This strategy, known as the presentation of evidence, is designed to confront the suspect with the reality of the situation, increasing psychological pressure. The goal is to move the suspect from a state of denial to one of admission. Throughout the process, detectives remain vigilant for signs of deception. Contrary to popular belief, indicators such as lack of eye contact or nervousness are not reliable markers of dishonesty. Instead, Investigators focus on inconsistencies in the suspect's story, changes in speech patterns, and other behavioral cues. For instance, a suspect may exhibit a physical reaction when confronted with specific details of the crime, such as tensing up or display a microexpression of fear or guilt. In some instances, suspects employ psychological games, attempting to outwit investigators or manipulate the narrative. They may feign ignorance, provide misleading information, or attempt to shift blame onto others. Detectives must be adept at recognizing these tactics and countering them effectively. This requires a deep understanding of human psychology and advanced interrogation techniques. The interrogation of Romero André was marked by periods of silence, emotional outbursts, and moments of apparent remorse. Detectives allowed these moments to unfold, understanding that silence can be a powerful tool in prompting a suspect to fill the void with information. By maintaining a calm and patient demeanor, investigators provided Romero André with a space to confront his actions and, ultimately, confess to the crime. The successful interrogation of Romero André underscores the importance of employing ethical and effective interviewing techniques in criminal investigations. By focusing on building rapport, presenting evidence strategically, and understanding the psychological dynamics at play, detectives were able to obtain a confession without resorting to coercion or manipulation. This case serves as a stark reminder of the devastating impact of domestic violence and the critical role that skilled interrogation plays in bringing perpetrators to justice. As the community of Jersey City mourns the loss of Luisa Urbano and her children, law enforcement continues to work tirelessly to ensure that such tragedies are prevented in the future. In the aftermath of this tragedy, community leaders and organizations have rallied to support those affected and to raise awareness about domestic violence. Vigils have been held in memory of Luisa, Juan and Diana, with attendees emphasizing the need for increased resources and support systems for victims of domestic abuse. Local advocacy groups have called for enhanced educational programs to inform the public about the signs of domestic violence and the avenues available for assistance. They stress the importance of early intervention and the role that friends, family, and neighbors can play in preventing such incidents. Law enforcement agencies are also reviewing their protocols and training programs to ensure that officers are equipped to handle domestic violence situations effectively. This includes specialized training in recognizing the signs of abuse, understanding the psychological dynamics involved, and employing appropriate intervention strategies. The legal proceedings against Romero André are ongoing, with prosecutors preparing to present a case that highlights the severity and premeditated nature of the crime. They aim to secure a conviction that reflects the gravity of the offense and provides a measure of justice for victims and their loved ones. This case has also sparked discussions at the state level regarding the implementation of stricter laws and penalties for domestic violence offenders. Legislators are considering proposals that would increase mandatory sentencing for such crimes and provide greater protections for victims seeking restraining orders. In the face of this tragedy, the resilience and solidarity of the Jersey City community have been evident. Through collective efforts to support victims, raise awareness, and advocate for change, residents are working to ensure that such a devastating event is not repeated. Following his release from medical care, Napoleon Romero André was formally arraigned on multiple charges, including 3 counts of first-degree murder and 2 counts related to unlawful possession of a weapon. During the arraignment, prosecutors presented the newly uncovered evidence, emphasizing the premeditated nature of the crime and the severity of the offenses. The defense requested a psychological evaluation, citing Napoleon's self-inflicted injuries and the possibility of underlying mental health issues. The legal proceedings that followed were intense and emotionally charged. Romero André, upon recovery, was presented before the court to face the severe charges against him. In the initial stages of the trial, Romero André pleaded not guilty to all charges. His defense team argued that he was not in a sound mental state during the incident, suggesting diminished responsibility. They contended that his actions were not premeditated, but rather the result of a temporary lapse in sanity. The prosecution, led by Assistant District Attorney Maria Gonzalez, painted a starkly different picture. They presented evidence suggesting that Romero Andere had a history of violent behavior and had previously threatened Urbano. Witnesses testified about prior incidents of domestic disputes between the accused and the victim. The prosecution argued that the murders were premeditated, highlighting the brutality and methodical nature of the attacks. The defense, spearheaded by attorney James Mitchell, countered by bringing in psychological experts who testified about Romero Andere's mental health struggles. They argued that he had been battling severe depression and possible undiagnosed mental disorders, which impaired his judgment and impulse control. The defense aimed to establish that their client was not fully aware of his actions during the incident. The courtroom was filled with palpable grief as family members of the victims took the stand. Maria Ramirez, Luisa's sister, delivered a tearful testimony about the close bond she shared with her sister and the children. She recounted the last moments she spent with them and expressed profound loss their deaths had caused. Friends and neighbors also testified, sharing stories of the victims' lives and the impact of their tragic deaths on the community. These heartfelt accounts added a deeply personal dimension to the trial, moving many in the courtroom to tears. After weeks of testimonies, evidence presentation, and emotional narratives, the case was handed over to the jury. The deliberation process was intense, with jurors meticulously reviewing the evidence and weighing the arguments presented by both sides. The community awaited the verdict with bated breath, as the case had garnered significant media attention. Discussions about domestic violence, mental health, and the justice system dominated public discourse, reflecting the case's profound societal implications. After 3 days of deliberation, the jury reached a unanimous decision. Romero Andere was found guilty on all counts of first-degree murder and weapon possession charges. The judge sentenced him to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, emphasizing the heinous nature of the crimes and the need for justice for the innocent lives lost. The court denied bail, considering the gravity of the charges and the compelling evidence presented. A preliminary hearing was scheduled, during which the prosecution planned to call upon forensic experts and the eyewitness to testify, further solidifying their case against the defendant. The verdict provided a sense of closure to the grieving families and the community. However, it also sparked broader conversations about the prevalence of domestic violence and the importance of mental health support. Community leaders and advocacy groups call for increased resources and awareness to prevent such tragedies in the future. In the aftermath, memorial services were held to honor the lives of Luisa Urbano and her children. Vigils and community gatherings underscored the collective mourning and the resolve to address the underlying issues that contribute to domestic violence. This tragic case serves as a somber reminder of the devastating consequences of domestic violence and the critical importance of early intervention and support systems to protect vulnerable individuals and families. The Jersey City community has been left reeling from the tragedy. Mayor Stephen Folt described the event as a terrible triple homicide and emphasized the need for support services for those affected. Chaplains and social workers have been deployed to assist family members and neighbors in coping with the aftermath. Vigils have been held in honor of the victims, with community members expressing their grief and solidarity. The incident has also sparked discussions about the prevalence of domestic violence and the importance of intervention and support mechanisms. This tragic incident underscores the critical importance of addressing domestic violence in our communities. Advocates stress the need for accessible resources for individuals in abusive relationships, including hotlines, shelters, and counseling services. Public awareness campaigns aim to educate individuals about the signs of domestic abuse and encourage those affected to seek help. Organizations such as the National Domestic Violence Hotline provide 24/7 support for those in need. If you found this story as gripping and heartbreaking as we did, don't forget to like this video and share it with others. And if you want to hear more true crime stories that uncover the mysteries behind these tragic events, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. You won't want to miss our latest stories, updates, and discussions. Thank you for joining us on this journey to seek justice and explore the truth. Together, we can make a difference. Until next time, stay safe and stay aware.